Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening up in the stars above us. For today, October 22nd, we'll also talk about tomorrow, the 23rd, and the weekend, the 24th and the 25th. And that's because tomorrow I won't be here. I will be on the road camping and getting ready to enjoy the great outdoors, shivering a bit as it's supposed to be chilly. Of course, the day that I decide to go camping, it decides to get really cold. But okay, we're going to do it, right? We're going to enjoy ourselves. I get to be with my little Y guy, who's my youngest grandson, and my youngest son, my oldest son, and my husband. I'll be the only feminine energy there. Take pity on me, ladies. But I'm really looking forward to having the time away. And that means today I need to share quite a bit of information with you. So bear with me as we get through things. We'll start by going through today's astrology, which happens to be pretty busy. There's a lot of different transits happening today, followed by Friday of not much happening, but some irritation to the day, followed by Saturday's long-term void, of course, moon that doesn't break until Sunday. And then also Sunday and Saturday have their own individual transit things going on. Typically on Thursday, I do card readings. I don't think that we will be able to get that far, but if I do, I will make that call for later in the broadcast. Let me say a quick good morning to people before I move on in. And it must be a slow morning. I only see Amy out there. Either that or the video's lagging way behind, which is distinctly possible. As I see in the video, I just raised my cup and I'm a good 2 minutes already into the broadcast. So things are very laggy in YouTubeville. But that doesn't make any difference to me. Let's just start in and start talking about what is happening in the day today. As far as we know, today is probably, let's say it's probably the most stringent of the days that we're going to be talking about, as not only is the sun, let's see, did the sun do that? At 4 p.m. this afternoon, the sun will make its move into Scorpio, where it stays until November 21st. Today, the moon is right now having moved out of the void into the sign of Capricorn, where it is today hitting up Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in a conjunction. And so actually it broke the void a while back. I don't know what I'm thinking. And squaring Mars and sextiling Neptune. So we have some pretty powerful transits going on today. Mostly when we're dealing with Capricorn, with the moon in Capricorn, we're being able to take a look at what our goals and ambitions are, what our dreams are, and being able then to take the steps that we need to in order to make those changes. And as you all know, we've been living in a world of deconstruction and the potential for reconstruction, exposing of all of the weaknesses in the systems, in the institutions, in government, etc., but also allowing us then as individuals to step up to the plate and to enact our own dreams by becoming self-sufficient and to be able to be independent. And all of these energies have been working together for us to release our dependence, let's say, on anything outside of us, and instead move to a position of strength from within us, where we know we hold the power, where we as individuals coming together can make more change and be more powerful than when we're looking outside of us to some God or to some government or to some institution to try to support us. Because those institutions are also at the effect of the changes and the transformations in the energy cycles as they go through. So when we are depending on something outside of us, there can be crumbling and there can be destruction and then rebirths and so forth. But when we look within, it's always calm, it's always cool, and it's always able to guide us. We just have to remember in the heat of a moment that that is there. So today's moon in Capricorn, while the outer world may still be showing some signs of craziness, just can't get away from that, then for us on the interior, it's a reminder with the square to Mars to go back to what is it that we want for ourselves? What do we want to be able to share with the world, and how do we want to be able to do that? It doesn't matter if you're young, if you're in the middle ages, or you're old. We all have something that we want to share with the world, whether it's just our love, or whether it's our work, or whether it's in some way, some other path of service. So on a day when the moon is moving through Capricorn, it reminds us to get back into connection with the dream that we have, the way that it is that we want to serve the world. Welcome back, Asa. I see you out there. It's lovely to see you. I'm so glad that you're feeling better today. We missed you yesterday, as I knew it was going to be busy with questions and so forth. So really, really did miss you, and I'm glad to have you back. And let's just say a quick good morning before I go on to Amy and Mimi and Ingrid, hello, and Amy D, hello, and Jennifer Peachy. Great to see all of you out there so far. And let's go back now to the rest of the transits for the moon today, because the moon is also going to come into a sextile with Neptune. And I see that as a reminder that your voice within is, again, more powerful than the one without. And being able to tune in, as it were, to hear what it is that still needs some work and what it is that you can let go of so that you can move forward. And then as we get to the later part of the day, the moon comes into a conjunction with Jupiter, and then Pluto, and then Saturn, as well, a trine to Venus. So the conjunction of the moon to Jupiter and Pluto who are about to conjunct themselves, right? Jupiter and Pluto have their next conjunction coming up at the end of the November 12th. So they're getting closer and closer together. The moon is signaling to us what it is that we need now in order to grow. What is the next steps? Now, it doesn't mean that we can actually jump out there and take those steps, because remember, Mars is still retrograde, Mercury's retrograde, and it slows down the expression in the outer world while we reevaluate, we rebuild, we reimagine, we reevaluate the things that we want to do. We place new value on maybe the things that are more important to us than what we thought was most important to us. All right, so let's take a deeper look then at the sun's movement into Scorpio. Every year, of course, the sun moves into Scorpio. So if you know where Scorpio is in your astrology chart, you have a view to what house or what area of your life is going to be tinged with scorpionic energy, or the light being shown in that part of your chart. So the sun is in Scorpio now until the 21st of November, and it is a sign of depth and intimacy. Remember, Scorpio is the sign that rules the 8th house. We talked about the 8th house last week. And remember, it's about intimacy. It's about merging with one another. It's about how we share of ourselves in the world with one another, but also how we share our finances, and how all of that money that comes to us from outside of us is a part of our experience. So Scorpio puts maybe some focus on reducing debt, letting go of, or rearranging debt perhaps in your life. It is a very extreme of feeling kind of sign. Now, Scorpios often are holding a lot of that emotional energy without expressing it. So if you ever have noticed, Scorpios have a sort of intense look to them. And it's because they're really holding back the dam of all of the emotional energy that could come gushing out at any moment. Their two ruling planets of this sign are Mars and Pluto. So there's some very powerful stuff that goes on here in this sign on the internal planes for each of us. So it's time for us to get to the bottom of things, perhaps to plumb those depths, the things that you have not wanted to look at. It's really time for us to do that. It's an opportunity for us to clear out anything that has sunk to the bottom, right? That's stuck in the mud at the bottom of the lake or the river, and to stir it up, to allow it to come up. What's been secret, what's been hidden, the taboos or suppressed emotional energies are waiting to be investigated by us. And that can happen in the societal stage, where we see secrets and so forth coming up. And it can also happen to us as individuals. But this is This is why if you take an approach during this time of the year of consciously going in and taking a look at those sticking parts of yourself, right? Where you're not quite clear yet, or where if you dive into a pattern that you see that has emerged for you to look at. If we do this consciously, then we're not as subjected to the scorpion sting as we might otherwise be. So be conscious about what it is that you need to look at. Are you struggling with intimacy issues in your relationships? Are you struggling with financial issues? Are you struggling with health issues? Whatever it is that you might be struggling, maybe you're looking at a career change or something's happening in your world that's a big change. Now is the time to get to the underside of that change, looking for what is it that makes you feel so not so happy or good about, that changeover, and then looking for the positive in that ability that we have to transform. This is highly transformational energy that we're entering into for the next 30 days. So we become more investigative as well ourselves. Maybe we're on the hunt for answers. We're the ones that are exposing more and more of what's been hidden or what we just don't see clearly. That way, it can be a healing experience for all of us over the next 30 days, both individually, but also collectively. You and your relationships can really heal as you're able to see things more clearly, but you won't see things more clearly unless you elevate your perspective, step back a bit, stop with the emotional feeling, be a little bit more objective about the emotions that you're feeling, and then move on into the truth of the transformation that needs to take hold here. Now, some of the negative traits of Scorpio energy is jealousy, possessiveness, the green-eyed monster, envy, manipulation, right? That's another big key ingredient in the negative expression of Scorpio energy, how we can be manipulated. It also has a reputation for being vindictive and a bit revengeful. So we want to take care there. And I saw Asa just popped up with a question. Yes, there is sexuality in Scorpio as it's the ruler of the 8th house. And sexuality is one of the ways in which we merge ourselves with one another in relationships. It sets the stage for the intimacy between a couple, perhaps, or takes us into that really deep emotional connection that Scorpio does so well, right? Scorpio is that deep emotional connection. And when you're struggling with being able to share of that deep emotional connection, that's where you possibly have the problems, right? Where we can become passive aggressive and we can start projecting out onto our partners those things that we haven't yet quite squared with in our own in our own lives. So lots of good stuff, but also lots of deep stuff, and it can be difficult. I know that I often recoil from that sort of Scorpio energy. I like everything to be light and airy. Thank you, Gemini. But Scorpio makes me almost have to go into that depth and to question those things that I've been hiding or suppressing and pushing back or pushing down. So it's our opportunity to really look at what is in the depth, and does it serve us to keep it there? I would say no. Bring it to the light of day and let it go if it's not something you need to take with you anymore. This is a good time of year, by the way, for doing deep psychological work. Maybe getting what are those sessions called? Past life regressions, and doing some kind of deep soul work, a shamanic journey, perhaps taking us into that darker realm, taking us into the void, and sitting in that void, being comfortable in that void, and then being able to bring back something new from the void, right? Something healing, maybe something transformative in nature. So it's pretty good energy. It's not that it's negative energy, but the part of the chart that it's in for you may be where it is. There are things coming up. In the first house, Scorpio might be bringing up things about you personally. The second house might be bringing up your earning or how it is that you attract resources to yourself. The third house might be looking at the mind and the content of your intellect and how you use the mind. Fourth house, Scorpio may be looking at family and how tightly you're holding on to family, or how you push back from your family of origin. Fifth house, maybe taking a look at your children, your creativity, your ability to be in a loving romantic relationship. Sixth house would bring up certainly hidden health issues, perhaps because it rules the body, maybe hidden sabotaging ways that you are treating your body. Seventh house is going to be in your partnerships, your finances that you share with someone else. Are the eighth house connections, the sexuality and the going through the dark night with looking at what your needs are. The ninth house, ninth house. Yesterday we talked about the ninth house. It's ruled by Sagittarius, which is expansive in nature. So it's possible if you have Scorpio in the ninth house, you're looking at what it is that's been holding you back from expanding. What old patterns or what fears are there? What reluctance? What can you see in the reluctance you have to expand, right? What is that about? 10th house, taking a deeper look at your career, how you call up your authority. 11th house, looking at the networks of people that you're aligned with. Are they supportive of you or not? Are they like-minded? Looking at your deeper, your bigger, deeper, either word works, dreams, your goals and aspirations. And how is it that you want to serve humanity with your gifts and your talents? And if you have Scorpio on the 12th house, you're already a natural psychological processor. Maybe it's time for you to lighten up instead of going deep. Maybe you need to come up for a breath of air, see what's new out there above the horizon, and move on from that position instead of going deeper. Now, also, it could be that there are deeper things, maybe, prison. Where have you been imprisoned? And waking up to see how you can unlock the key or use the key to unlock yourself from that prison. So that's a quick look at how Scorpio energy for the next 30 days may be affecting you by house location in your chart. Now, of course, if you have planets in Scorpio, that's going to change that a bit. It may bring a little more intensity to it. It could bring other parts of your chart into view as well. So without a full reading of Scorpio energy in your chart, it's pretty hard to tell what that might exactly mean for you. Now, today we also have some minor glitches in the matrix. These are minor transits of planets, but nonetheless, they tend to create tension or a disruption inwardly for us, right? Kind of a niggling doubt or a niggling tension that we can't quite put our finger on, that's what the problem is. Bringing glitches to the surface. I hit my head on my palm on my forehead this morning as I watched my husband trying to activate his new card, his new debit card after his had been compromised or hacked into. And he had issues with his phone. He used the wrong phone number to verify the account, which then caused him to have to be sent to customer service. And then when he was finished with them, they told him he needed to go back in, call the system again to set up his PIN. In order to set up your PIN, you had to remember your old PIN. Well, that was a problem because he forgot what his old PIN was. He put what he thought it was in there and the system went and pushed him back off into customer service land. And now he's mad. Right? He is pissed off because he's blaming his phone. He's blaming the universe. It was so funny. He's like, I'm getting in the shower. Perfect. Let the water wash away the tension, right? So today are these minor little things. I mean, to me, it was, I'm sitting here working on what I needed to talk about this morning, going, So what was a minor little hiccup turned into something massive for him because he was in total resistance to everything that was going on. So when I talk about these minor things that are happening, know that they can pop up in your life or not. They can pop up. Sometimes you visualize them through other people, right? Like me sitting here this morning going, that's been me before. An overreaction to a small little, irritation. So the first one we're going to talk about is Mercury, already in retrograde, slowing things down, mucking things up, making it hard to understand things. And he comes into an inconjunct with the planet Chiron. So Chiron is the wound that we're carrying. Right now, the wound is in the sign of Aries. So it's where we haven't been able to be completely self-sufficient, where we're learning about being interdependent rather than codependent or independent, right? It's not that we don't want to be independent, because we do, but we also want to learn that we're not an island unto ourselves, right? That we're living in a planet with other people, and that in that case, we are all interdependent upon one another, and we can all reach out to one another when we need help or support. Sometimes Aries energy can be very isolating, right? That in its independence. So remembering Chiron teaching us about being self-sufficient if you're at the codependent end, and being interdependent if you're too far over to the independent end of things. So Mercury bringing up for us then, in this case, possibility of doubting ourselves, where we doubt our hearts, where we doubt our intentions, where we doubt our abilities, etc. Go on and on, where we can misunderstand one another, where we maybe misunderstand or mishear the instructions for something. So be aware that misunderstanding is possible, and what you may say to someone, they may not take in the same way that you meant it. So trying to be a little more clear today so that we don't have that miscommunication going on, or that misunderstanding of our motives or of our meaning behind our words. Being hypersensitive. We're all going to be probably a little bit sensitive in some way, shape, or form in some area of our lives. And all it takes is a little trigger, like I don't remember my old PIN number, and creating a need for going another step and then not being patient enough to get there. So today's sensitivity, because of Mercury in conjunct Chiron. Remember, an in conjunct is a relationship between the planets that tends to make us have to become more adaptable or flexible. It brings up the need for us to let go of something or sacrifice something in order to get to where we really want to be. And then in the end, you look back and you go, well, I really didn't need that anyway, right? So remembering that today. And then as well, Venus is in a minor square with the planet Uranus. And a minor square, by that I mean a sesquiquadrate. I love that word, sesquiquadrate. What it is a square with an additional half of a square, 90-degree angle or relationship, plus a 45-degree angle, making it a complete 135 relationship between both of the planets. So you have a square and a half a square that adds some tension. And even though it's minor, it can also be hidden tension, right? That's a restlessness feeling today between Venus and Uranus. Uranus wanting liberation, Venus is, sort of lighter, airier energy. It's loving energy. We may feel a restlessness when we are engaged in doing things that we love, right? Or in our relationships, we may feel like, there's too much of a good thing, not enough of a good thing, or I'm tired of this good thing. So today asks us to maybe take that discontent that we're feeling in whatever the situation is, and to apply something new, do something new, get out of your own way, change it up, right? Change things up. Because we may feel a little discontented with what we think normally makes us happy. So do something else, right? Change it up. Small changes today in that make big impacts, right? So just the smallest of little thing, instead of watching the usual show that you like, change and do something different. Maybe instead of watching TV, go take a walk, do something just a little bit different, right? That's the tension buster for us today, is to be able to get into something different. Today's Pleiadian-Earth energy is 6 breathing. And breathing energy in the Mayan calendar was Ik, the wind, right? So today we get this idea of breath, and the breath being able to take us or infuse us with new ideas or new approaches, new ways of thinking, interaction with new people or new material. The number 6, the universal energy of the day, is about flow. So we're flowing with new ideas. We're flowing with new possibilities. When we buck up against the brick wall, what do? Well, we can stop and wait and see what opens up. We can flow over it. We can go under it. We can go around it. But we don't want to force it. We don't want to force that brick wall. We don't want to keep bumping into it and trying to make things happen. So today we're flowing with the possibilities, whatever that might be. And know that if you are triggered by something today, it might be the call for you to let that go for the moment and go somewhere else and do something else, right? Don't push the river today, right? Today's not the push the river day. It's the flow with the river day. All right. Now we hit a void of course moon this evening. My time, 9:36 p.m. until 5:18 tomorrow morning. And for those of you on the East Coast, that means it'll be at 12:36 a.m. Until 8:18 a.m. tomorrow. So likely as we begin our days, we're changing up the energy out of this Capricorn, all business, get things done, plans, goals, ambition, emphasis, to Aquarian energy, which is a completely different energy. All right, now I thought I saw a question pop up here. Okay. I think that's it. All right. So Debbie Tippett's 2 meal. If I get to it, I will. If not, you can always call me afterwards and I will pull a card for you, right? I don't offer that up to everybody, but I know Debbie's got a tension-filled life at the moment. So, all right, let's get on to Friday. And Friday's energy is 7 listening. So tomorrow, as we get into the new day, it's really going to be, we're sitting at the merge point. This is the energy where we're kind of sitting right at the precipice. It's the halfway point in our spiral of consciousness, right? Our 13-day week. So we're perched right there at a very sensitive point where we can look back over the previous 6 days, see what we've learned. Remember, it began with one evolving. And that was a pretty powerful energy starting to shake our foundations, right? Shake us up in some way. Where are we being shook? Where are you being shaken but not stirred yet? Because here at the halfway point, now we're looking down the home stretch of the next 6 days and what can be. What are we finishing up as we move toward the 13? And so we get this like check-in point today where we can really look deeper. We can reevaluate, we can set ourselves up for what comes next by listening, really going into the void. In the Mayan calendar, listening was called Akbal, and it represented the night, the deep darkness, right? Going into that void, that very feminine energy of the void, the womb, where without all of the lights and the stimulus from the outer world, we can hear that still small voice within us. So that is the opportunity we have tomorrow. That begins our day. Then if we're looking at the moon in Aquarius, we now have some challenging energies popping up between the moon and the sun, between the moon and Mercury retrograde, and between the moon and Uranus. Yay, challenges. So how do we greet those challenges? Well, first of all, the square from the moon to the sun is the signal that we are halfway to the full moon, right? That is now the crisis of action point. So for whatever intentions that you might have set for the new moon, you're facing likely the first boulder in your path, right? The first chasm that you can't seem to figure out how to get across. And how interesting that it comes the day after flowing energy, where today you're gathering the skills that you need to do just what you need to do tomorrow in the face of an obstacle or resistance to your ideas of what it was you intended at the new moon. So the crisis of action calls us to really stop pushing up against those things that seem to be stopping our forward motion, but to really stop and see what is opening up. Because if you take a wider look, likely there's some pathway, some corridor that is opening up for you. And moving in that direction, then you're going with the flow of universal energy, not against it. So tomorrow we reach that point, that crisis of action point. Now the square to Mercury retrograde is interesting too, because the sun and Mercury are going to make a connection together, a conjunction this weekend. So we're already maybe having to let go of something so that we can get a new message. We have to make room within us for something new, some new dynamic that maybe yet hasn't quite dawned on us. So we're opening up space within us in order by doing things like letting go, surrendering, and releasing, right? So kind of an interesting day. Old tapes that we've been running, right, in our subconscious mind, it may show up stark as day. Wow, that I thought I finished with, but that tape is still running. So what do, right? We need to let go of those old tapes. We need to insert new tapes about how positive you are, about how open you are to receiving the bounty of the universe, or how open you are to having loving, cherished relationships. Whatever it is that seems to be sticking at you right now, turn it upside down, right? What would it look like if you were in the positive aspect of that? That's what we can do tomorrow. Expect the unexpected with the square to Uranus. Be prepared, right? Be prepared for anything. Think outside of the box. Be ready to think outside of the box, to see things upside down, or from around the left, or from around the right, something different than the way that you normally look at things. And that's also supported tomorrow because Uranus is the ruling planet, one of the ruling planets for Aquarius. And the moon is in Aquarius tomorrow. And in Aquarius energy, we're looking at innovation and inventiveness, right? This is where you find your genius, your brilliance, right? This is your uniqueness in human design. I always tell people that you are geniuses. Geniuses come from the root word of genes, right? The genes in your DNA, right? That inside are coded, coded your genius. And unfortunately, when I say the word genius, I bet you automatically think of intellect or intelligence. But I'm not talking about just that. That's one way of being a genius. But what if you're a genius at making food, right? What if you're a genius at crafts? What if you're a genius at seeing where people's businesses need some help? We can be a genius. Maybe you're a genius at cleaning and organizing. I could use one of them. We all have genius, right? And it is expressed in some way. When the moon is moving through Aquarius, that genius, that brilliance is triggered for us, spotlighted kind of, right? So be your unique self, be quirky, be eccentric, be you, right? You do you best. And don't let anybody take that away from you, right? Don't let anybody tell you, well, that's dumb. Why are you doing that? Why do you wear that color? Don't let people do that to you. Just don't let them. Looking to the future is also part of the moon in Aquarius. There might be some new trends, new cutting edges. Long-range goals are preferred during this period of time. Following your heart. Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. Leo rules the heart. Aquarius pulls that in and leads from the heart, right? Leads from the heart. So following what your heart wants in planning for a future, right? Or in looking at your long-range goals, following your heart and seeing what new things might be popping up. Aquarius is also the most humanitarian sign. They're altruistic. They love to serve in the capacity of humanity. So how can I give back to humanity? How can I serve the greater good, right? That's part of the Aquarian experience. Revelations, epiphanies, ahas, surprises. Aquarius also takes us to freedom energies. How do we release ourselves from those chains that bind? Seeing the big picture. Aquarian energy is very objective and sometimes cold and aloof, or at least we might experience it as cold and aloof, but from their more objective viewpoint, they can see a bigger picture. Where you might be caught up in the details and the minutia, Aquarians will often step back and see that bigger picture and offer up a new viewpoint, right? A new way of being, a new way of looking at an old problem, etc. Divination, I think I said this last time the moon was in Aquarius. Divination is preferred during this period of time, where we have all of the tools like astrology, like tarot, like oracle cards, like the I Ching, psychic impressions, dreams, all of those things are very empowered when we're in the sign of Aquarius. So also friends and networks of people, the people that support you, the like-minded groups or communities that you're a part of, all come up in Aquarian energy. All right, so oh, my phone just locked me out. I hate that. All right, so let's go back over here and see. Pauline, not sure if we have time, a Galactic Heritage. So I'm not doing cards. I'm most likely not doing cards. It's already 8:35. I still have Saturday and Sunday to get through. I'll try to speed it up, but I want quality, not quantity, maybe. So let's see what happens. Asa, or Kathleen, I'm sorry. Good morning. I had trouble finding the live call today. Beautiful, the chasm, however you say that word. Asa, any questions that I'm missing here? Because I don't see anything. I don't see questions, which means I'm doing a good job of talking, perhaps. Not sure. But if you have questions, certainly let Asa know and she will let me know. So let's go into Saturday. It seems like I'm missing something from Friday. Hold, please, while I check. Nope, I got to all of that. Saturday. We have the moon in Aquarius still. It will only make one aspect that day. That is Mars in a sextile to the moon, or the moon in a sextile to Mars. Mars in retrograde. So we might be stimulated to think of something different and new. We may actually have the benefit of foresight and hindsight. How awesome is that, to be perched so powerfully right there in the middle that you can see ahead and you can see behind and you can see exactly what needs to be done in the now in order to accommodate the future. So I love that. Saturday, we also go into a long void of course moon. The moon at 2:55 p.m. my time will start the void, and it won't end until 2:19 p.m. the next day, Sunday. So for those of you on the East Coast, that's 5:55 p.m. on Saturday to 5:19 p.m. on Sunday. So Saturday afternoon, evening, all the way into Sunday afternoon, evening, we're dealing with the moon kind of in the wandering space in Aquarius. We were left with the sextile to Mars in retrograde on Saturday. So I would say, if I were going to be home, and I'm not, so oh well, I would say get out pieces of paper or cardboard or whatever, poster board, and start doing some doodling, envisioning of maybe your 2021. If you're a business person, what do you want your business to look like? If you're a family person, what do you want to work on with your family? Just start, letting yourself, your mind wander into what's possible as we merge out of 2020 and into 2021. And yeah, it's not too early to start thinking in that way. Right? Mars is in retrograde, so it's not time to take those action steps yet, but it is a really good time to look at what it is that you do want to go, what direction you do want to go in once that opens up again. So it's never too late to do that, or never too early to start the dreaming process. And you can do that by doodling, mind mapping, or cutting out magazine pictures and posting them about what is it that you're trying to create. That's a good use of your time in a long void of course moon. Maybe doing some spiritual study, maybe, doing some quiet kind of work, maybe going out and putting your garden to rest for the season. Or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, maybe it's time to really think about planting for summer and that kind of thing. So lots of things that we can do during that void of course moon that don't require us to actually make decisions or move forward. Now, also Saturday has a pretty major aspect between Venus and Saturn. We've had this week so far, Venus in a trine to Jupiter. Then we had Venus in a trine to Pluto. So we know Saturn is also there. So now we get to Venus in a trine to Saturn. Now, a word about the trines. Remember, they are 120-degree angles between the planets, and that confers a relationship of ease and flow between the two. It means that they are in like elements. So they have like interests and they understand one another. So there's an ease that comes with that particular connection. Venus is in Virgo, an earth sign, and Saturn in Capricorn, an earth sign. Virgo is very practical, down to earth, loves the idea of organization, and Venus values her space, minimizing her space, right? Or minimalizing, getting rid of what's no longer useful and making room, right? Capricorn, Saturn loves the idea of setting up a new structure, something more sustainable for the future. So honestly, they work well together, but the nature of Saturn is a little more stern than Venus's more light and airiness. So we have maybe a couple of difficulties there that might pop up. And one of them might be about sorting out our feelings about the people that we are in relationship with. We may have some mixed emotions going on right now, likely based in something that's come up over the previous week with Venus in a trine to Pluto and Venus in a trine to Jupiter. So, looking at the dynamic in our relationships and what is supportive in those relationships versus what will we no longer tolerate in those relationships. We may need to approach the issues of Venus in a more sustainable way. Issues of Venus have to do with finances, has to do with our relationships with one another, and has to do with our values. So we may be needing to look at those parts of our lives and become more responsible, to become more sustainable. And that's an opportunity for us then to work that during this particular weekend. Stabilizing our lives in very practical, down-to-earth, organized ways. This is a day where we might have really good business sense. And I'm kind of sad that I'm not going to be here working my business on Saturday. I'm going to be working other business on Saturday, I guess, because it's a great day to connect to the way the winds are blowing. I guess I could do that on an internal basis, kind of, licking your finger and taking a test of which way is the wind blowing, what trends are about to come up, where should you what feels best to you about where do you want to spend your time and where you want to spend your effort and where you want to spend your money as we move forward. It is a day for showing up for yourself and for others. So great energy, but sometimes not as fun as other Venus connections with planets. But we've been sort of in that serious mode all week, with maybe the exception of Monday. The Venus trine Jupiter was a little lighter. It was our ability to see for the future where we wanted to grow and expand. But then Pluto and Saturn kind of bring it into the more serious. Well, if I don't take stock of where I am now, what I have done well, what I have not done so well so far, then how will I know where to go? Right? So we have to have that more serious aspect too, to take stock so that we can determine the wind is blowing in that direction, but I'm not quite ready to go there yet because I'm still dealing with this over here. So it's time to get done dealing with that so that I can move into a new direction. So that's our Saturday energy. The Sunday energy is lighter energy. We're still in that void, so it's not a good day to take big steps, really. The moon is in Aquarius until that 2:19 p.m. when she breaks the void and moves into Pisces. And that will be 5:19 p.m. for those of you on the East Coast. And then the moon will be in Pisces and more imaginative, psychic, spiritual, creative sign. So the energy shifts dynamically Sunday evening or late afternoon. And on top of that, we have the sun in a conjunction to Mercury retrograde on Sunday. That brings us mental alertness. That brings us the ability to say what we want to say, perhaps. We're thinking quickly. Now, I want to note something for you because I said it deliberately. The sun in a conjunction to Mercury. Normally, we take the faster moving planet, which would be Mercury, and we would say Mercury conjunct the sun. But in this case, Mercury's moving backwards, the sun is moving forward. So it's the sun moving into Mercury that is happening. So we say sun conjunct Mercury retrograde. So the sun, think of the sun, it's light, it's encoded with your life purpose. it holds your brilliance, right? It holds your brilliance. And it's now in Scorpio on Sunday. And it's taking that depth, that passion, that intensity, that transformative energy, and it is depositing, if you will, new information, new codes into Mercury as it conjuncts. And then they both continue moving on in their separate directions. So that mental awareness that is conferred by the sun moving into Mercury that way can turn into sort of the light bulb coming on for you in terms of how you now align yourself with what comes next. It can be sort of an aha moment, even though it isn't Uranus driven, because the sun's very strong light shows us maybe a new idea, something, maybe an idea comes to us through another person in a conversation, and it stimulates our mental awareness of what that message means to us. It could, I have no doubt, even come up in our dreams, as often Scorpio taking us more into that realm of prophecy or of psychic impressions, and we're more open to receiving that in our dream state. So a big weekend, maybe not a bad weekend. I think there's a lot of opportunity as we move forward for the ability to be in receipt of some new piece of information, something that clicks for you as you go forward. But remembering too that there are those planets that are in retrograde that are slowing the process down. And it's not necessary to launch something big in the moment that you have that mental awareness, right? It might be that it's ready for you to plan what comes next. All right. So I did get through that faster than I thought I would. Asa, questions? I didn't check my phone, doggone it, because I have to keep hitting that code. Asa, question. Pauline is asking about healing during the moon in Aquarius and sun in Scorpio. Definitely the healing is a part of that. It's also a part of it because Chiron over the weekend comes into that in conjunct with Mercury. Two things can happen there too as it relates to healing. One, something is discovered that in ourselves that is not healed, right? There's that. You have to know what's not healed before you can go about healing. And then the opportunity then is to set yourself on a path or a course to heal, right? To heal. For those of you who are healers out there, this is possibly setting you on a path to using a new tool in your healing processes with other people, clearing yourself of something before you can go on to heal others. So definitely Scorpionic energy does offer us that transformative nature. So transformation in any quadrant of your chart, right, or any part of your life is possible during this period of time. Okay. All right. All right. So Debbie Tippett's 2 meal. I think you need a wisdom of the oracle. And it's an angel, but I picked up the wrong deck. Okay. So here we go. And let's do this. Okay. Debbie, I'm going to go back to Zoom here so I can make sure I show the card in the screen. This is a card for you going forward. Well, I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but this is the card that you got. Soulmates, right? Soulmates card number 41, which is a 5, which is change, which is freedom, which is the energy of movement, right? Making changes. So 41 straight up. So the essential meaning, as you know, harmonious partnerships, love, friendship, companionship, a relationship fostering personal growth. And here's the oracle's message. You are meant to evolve and transform with the companionship of others. Certain people enter into your life in order to take you to the next level of healing, consciousness, and authenticity. It is always a reciprocal experience, although the results for each of you will vary. You know these people by the strong pull drawing you toward them, and sometimes by a strong aversion to them initially, too. Soulmates can be friends for life or remain in your life for only a short time. No matter what, you will be changed in ways you cannot possibly fathom now. Pay attention to these people today. They are your greatest gifts. I'm going to read the relationship message here as well for you, Deb. Consider love in the deepest sense. Love so powerful that you will never be the same, regardless of how long your relationship lasts. Consider friendships and romantic bonds so compelling that they overwhelm you with gratitude or break you open so you will finally claim who you were meant to be. Even a companion animal reminds you that it is you who is being rescued and healed. Pay attention, for you are in the presence of a soulmate, come to guide you home to the real you. Now, I often think too, Debbie, when we get cards like this, that the reciprocal is also possible, that you are attracting someone that you're going to help find their new base or their new home. So there's that. But I also think an angel card was also in the offing, so I'm going to pull that for you as well. And this is from the Kyle Gray Angel Guide Oracle. And let's see what Kyle's angels say. I feel a lot of like tension in these cards. That's so funny. Like they don't want to split apart. And do the work. Do the work. We've had this card before. It's funny because when I use this deck, it seems like there's only a couple of different cards that come out for everybody. So do the work. And let's see what that means for you. Your message, if you were wondering whether to move forward or not, this card is a message from your angels to continue on. You might feel that your current situation requires more time and energy than you are able to give, and there's a good chance that you are feeling disheartened or even drained. It's important to know that everything involved in this situation is pivotal to your growth, expansion, and spiritual connection. This card invites you to switch on the light you have within. It's time to be a star, to rise up, to get behind the wheel and drive the journey of your life. Yes, energy is going to be needed to hustle and push, but every single effort you make will pay off. Right now, you are sending out a signal, and that will create a wave that can lay the foundation for the rest of your life. Being spiritual isn't always easy. It comes with a price, and often that price is time and effort. That is why angels call it light work, because we have to work out our light. This isn't spiritual easy. This isn't spiritual vacation. This is spiritual work. And that does mean we have to work. Action, effort, surrender, and trust are needed for things to come together. But when this card appears, you have an important opportunity to figure out the balance between effort and effortlessness, and understand when both of these energies need to move through your being. If you want to abandon a project or walk away from a situation, this card is letting you know that you are needed more than ever. This isn't the time to run away. This is the time to turn up. When you show up ready and willing to do the work, you will move up too. Boy, that's kind of a message that was also in the astrology for the weekend as well, Deb. So, whoo-hoo. All right. Now, Pauline was asking a couple of weeks ago for a Galactic Heritage card. There they are. But I gave her inadvertently a Mayan card, which I think must have been the most appropriate message that you needed at that time, Pauline, or it wouldn't have happened that way. So those mistakes are often the truth when we get ourselves out of the way. But because you've requested, I will do a Galactic Heritage card for you. And the Galactic Heritage cards, wow, okay. The Galactic Heritage cards are based on our star families, right? Sirius, Arcturus, Pleiades. And the card I got for you was Logic and Reason, card number 26 from Vega, and Vega of the present. So let's take a look at what that means for you. It's card 26, which is an 8. So power number. Okay, so Vega. Um, dang. In the very ancient days, Vegans were very balanced in their mental and emotional bodies, but later their practices of discipline created an imbalance of logic and reason. They learned to ignore their emotions, judging them to be inferior to the mental experience. Emotions are an essential part of the human experience and must be expressed alongside our thought processes. Look at yourself honestly. Do you lean more toward focusing on the mental body, logic and reason, or more toward expressing emotions? Both are important, but in moderation. Balance comes from honoring both equally. One of the biggest karmic challenges of the ancient Vegans had to do with how they used their self-discipline to develop the mental body. In this era of Vegan civilization, they had a challenge with overdeveloping the mental body to the detriment of the emotional one. It kind of sounds like where we humans have been. This eventually led to challenges in their offshoot races, such as the Zeta Reticuli and Earth. Many humans have connections to this time in Vegan history and still have challenges in being able to balance the emotions with the mental processes. If this card comes up in your reading, look at the other cards or the other things we've talked to other people about, and for similar themes, as well as your habits and patterns. It could be a message that you need to lessen your reliance on the mental body for navigating through reality. It might also mean that you need more grounding and should develop your mental body more. As you look within at your connection to this idea, you can see a clearer picture of why this card came up for you. Love it. Love it. Love it. They're always honest, if not always clear. Okay, so Asa, I think I have 4 minutes, so I might be able to do 2 more readings. Are there 2 people out there who really need hope, guidance, enlightenment that I can help with today? So we've done Pauline, we've done Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel. Who else is out there? All right, I don't see anybody. So do I get to choose? Should I just choose someone? I wonder what happened that people were at the other channel this morning. That's weird. I did clear my my what is that called? The cache memory, the history, because I noticed that when I'm processing the video, it's taking nearly all day for the video to show up, which is annoying. So I cleared it out, hoping it would make things faster, but maybe lost a couple people in the process as well. Okay, who wants a card reading? Because now I only have time maybe for 1 or 2. Okay, I'm going to choose Kathleen Mallory. You're going to get a card reading, girl. I hope you have a question. I know no one's saying anything, Asa. It's kind of quiet. I like that, maybe, but not. Kathleen. Kathleen, I'm going to give you a spirit animal card. I feel like you need a spirit animal to walk with you. Giving you courage, giving you... I will do one for the collective. That's a good idea, Pauline. Thank you, Asa, for bringing that one to me. But this is for Kathleen Mallory. Hopefully you're still there. And stag spirit. You're going to love this one. Take the lead. Take the lead, girl. Take the lead. I'm going to go back to Zoom because I can't tell where I am. There we go. So the stag is card number 58, which is a 13, which is a 4, right? The foundation, right? The bottom of the strength, right? Stag spirit. Take the lead. So let's see what that means here. 58. Here's your oracle's message. Whether or not you have set your intention to lead, you may have found yourself suddenly called to step up to the forefront of your life. Stag spirit is a reminder that now is the time to heed the call to be sure, strong, and compassionate. Others will look to you, and you have it within you to see through the eyes of stag spirit and walk with confidence as you take on the responsibilities that are yours now and model integrity in all that you do and in all your relationships. Be willing to see the best in others so that your compassionate heart keeps you on the right path. Stag spirit wants you to know that your responsibilities now are for yourself too, for you are learning and developing new skills. The best in you is coming into view as you step forward with strength, knowing that spirit supports you as you compassionately take the lead. You are a model for transformation now, sharing your experience, strength, and hope with others so they may grow and discover their best selves too. What a gift you are. Stay humble and authentic and walk your talk, for this is how a wise leader leads. Wow, that's perfect for you, right? Perfect, perfect. All right, I saw Asa popping up here. Jennifer Peachy needs guidance. She said, if you do have time. Jennifer Peachy, I will take time for guidance for you. I feel like you need a goddess card. And of course, it's at the bottom of the pile over here. So one moment while I get to it. And goddess wisdom coming right at you. Okay, so Jennifer, I don't know what the situation is, but let's just hold the highest light that the cards will give you the best message for you in this. Morrigan, death and magic. Death and magic. It's actually a pretty card, right? Scary a little bit because the word death is there, but death is always just a transformation. It's very Scorpio looking. This is card 37, which is a 10, a new beginning in the offing here. 37. There we go. Morrigan. And she was upright, which means that there is an empowerment message here for you. And it says, consider your life a magical gift and your experience of it a beautiful opportunity to leave the world in a better place. You give that gift back when death comes and ends your time on this plane. Experiences, relationships, projects, and even long cherished dreams are subject to the natural laws of death and the magic of the Celtic goddess Morrigan. Now is the time for you to let certain parts of your life die and recognize this process as something to celebrate as well as to mourn. Let go with love and gratitude. Leave your fears behind, for in death, there is great magic, as nothing can ever be truly destroyed. From the ashes of the old, a new life and new dreams will come to be. Face the time of dying and death with love and courage. Be willing to be empty. Soon the goddess Morrigan will fill you up with magic and a new world will be born for you. This is her gift for you when you surrender your resistance and allow things to be as they are. Whew, powerful, because our tendency is, of course, to hold on and not to release and let go when we should, right? When the universe is prompting us. All right, so that is it for me today. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Remember, I will not be on air tomorrow, and I will see you guys on Monday morning, hopefully with stories to relate to you about camping, being in the wilderness in October in the Pacific Northwest. Craziness, right? All right, everybody, take care. See you on Monday.